What's going on, everybody? Hope you all are doing good. In this video I'm going to show you how to do about 450,000 on power attacks and make yourself a sonic conduit receiver as well. And if anybody is still a little confused on how to become a sender or a receiver, you're not a sender and you're not a receiver unless you see this on the left side of the screen where it says sender and receiver. Those are the only times in which you are a sender or a receiver. You have to see that sign on the side of the screen. Alright, the first piece that you're going to need is the Norn Stone of the Vanguard, and defeating an enemy with the Vibranium status effect sends the Sonic Conduit buff to all heroes. All heroes are considered Sonic Conduit receivers, and this includes yourself. So whenever you defeat an enemy who has Vibranium on them, you become a receiver as well. So this is a must-have for this entire build to work. You're also going to need the Discordant Blade. While receiving the Sonic Conduit, attacks made that are infused with any status effect deal more damage, and you're going to need to have a status effect on power attacks. This could be Vibranium status or it can be Sonic status. It can be either one. Sonic is actually a little bit easier to proc, and I'll get into why it's easier and the benefits of having a Sonic versus the benefits of having Vibranium in a little bit. But you're going to need a Discordant Blade with either Vibranium on the melee power attacks or Sonic on the power attacks with the Receiver Magnifier. And for slot 2, you're going to need the Discordant Arrows, and you're going to want it to have the Vibranium payload, and that's whenever you attack an enemy with a ranged critical attack, it activates a Vibranium payload, and you're going to want to have arrows with the Sonic damage on it. So I prefer to have the explosive arrows with Sonic damage because Sonic builds up faster via explosive arrows than it does with Scattershot. So that's the main reason why I use the explosive arrows. Now if you are fighting a boss or an OLT, you can definitely switch it up for these scattershot arrows because you're going to be landing a lot of shots before the enemy is defeated. Now the reason why I mentioned you could also run Sonic on the Discordant Blade is because this Discordant Arrows has a pinpoint Vibranium payload. So if you do a power attack with Sonic instead of the Vibranium, so if you have this Sonic piece equipped right here and you did a power attack with Sonic, since you have this Vibranium payload, it can proc the Vibranium from the power attacks that are inflicting Sonic. So you can switch it up and do it that way if you want. And you can also use this Granting Magnifier right here, where while you're sending a Sonic Conduit buff to other heroes, the center attacks infused with any status deal 15% more damage, but I found it to be a little bit less reliable than having this Vibranium double leak. Alright, on slot 3 I have the Tachyon's Eye. The reason why I have this is because of the Cosmic Potentiator. It boosts your stun damage by a certain percent. I'm not sure what percent it is. I think it's 40%, something like that, maybe 20% extra stun damage, and at 80% stun damage, you can pretty much hit an enemy one time with the explosive arrows and it will fully fill them up with the Sonic status effect, which is what you're going to need in order to battery off of whenever you hit them with the Vibranium. So that's why I'm running this one right here, simply because it gives you that extra intensity and the extra stun damage from the Cosmic Potentiator. Now you can also run this Discordant Crest with the Reverberation Drive, where you get an extra 25% damage to enemies afflicted with the Vibranium status effect. The only reason I'm not running this is because if I switch to it, my intensity goes to a 23%, and if my intensity is at a 23%, then I cannot consistently proc this Sonic status effect on the enemy. So that's why I run the Tachyon's Eye. And for the 4th slot, you're going to need this Discordant Crest, and the most important thing on it is actually the Reverberation Breaker. Increase the fill rate of Vibranium status meter by 20%. Actually, it increases the damage to an enemy who is fully afflicted with the Vibranium status effect by 20%. So it doesn't give you a 20% boost to Vibranium status, it gives you a 20% damage boost to an enemy who is fully afflicted. So that's a pretty huge difference. So it's a base damage amplifier. If this does get changed within the game in the future, you know, don't be too surprised, because as of right now the stats say one thing but it's doing something totally different. But again, this will boost the damage to enemies who are fully filled with the Vibranium. Also, the first perk helps out a lot too, the Shock status leak. So attacking an enemy with Vibranium that has an active Sonic status effect spreads the Shock status to nearby enemies, and Shock also helps out with the crit chance and the crit damage. And this last artifact right here, I just have this ISO of affinity, and this is actually pretty important. You could go with a triple precision roll on this one, but if you go with a triple precision roll, it's going to drop your crit chance to a 22%. Now I know a lot of people may say 22 is good, and 27 may be too high. I have not been able to replicate the numbers having a lower crit chance. So if I put this precision ISO on, theoretically I should hit for a lot higher than having this one equipped, even though this one does have a little bit of valor. But if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the extra crit chance that actually is helping out with the damage, and it's definitely the extra crit chance that's helping out with the payloads being able to proc at a quicker rate. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Try to have that crit chance at about 25%. If I could have mine at a 30%, I definitely would. And try to have that stun damage to at about an 80%. 60% is fine too, 50% is fine, but just know the lower percent that your stun damage is, the longer it's going to actually take to fully fill the enemy up with the sonic status effect, which is going to pretty much slow down the entire process. Alright, a few things in the skill tree that could definitely help you out is this one right here, Flying Solo. Increases the critical attack damage while juggling enemies in the air by 20%. So in order to juggle enemies in the air, you can do one demolition arrow, one power attack, sometimes two, depending on the size of the enemy, and detonate it. And once it detonates, they will fly up in the air. And once they fly in the air, you can do another demolition arrow to them, so that will actually activate this Flying Solo right here. So, this one right here, Shot Taker, actually works. So whenever you're doing your signature attack, you get, I think they're called iframes, where sometimes the enemy just doesn't hit you. So this does help, but it does not help as far as dealing extra damage. You're also going to need this Lasting Impression. Increases the damage dealt by the explosion on demolition arrows by 10%. And whenever you're doing a power attack, you're going to be doing power attacks, and these are demolition arrows that you're using whenever you do the power attack. Another thing that you're going to need is Concussive Blast. Increase the stun damage of explosive arrows by 15%. And the reason why you're going to need that is because it's going to help out with the stun damage whenever you're using the explosive arrows for the Sonic. And if you are going to equip the Scatter Shot, if you're fighting a boss or whatnot, then make sure you turn that off, the extra stun damage off. And you're also going to need this one right here, Precision Overcharge. Increases range attack damage by 10% while overcharged. So those are the main things in the skill tree that you need to worry about. Now I do know that I'm at a champion or power level 172, but I had the same setup whenever I was power level 162, which is what most people are right now if they've been playing the raid in the OLT on a consistent basis. And at a 162, I think I was doing about 375,000 per power attack as well. Alright, so to wrap this up and go over it one more quick time, you're definitely going to need this piece right here, and defeat an enemy with the vibranium status effect, and that's going to make you a receiver. Once you become a receiver, attack another enemy with the explosive arrows with the sonic damage, and once they are fully filled with the sonic, then attack them with the melee power attacks, which is vibranium. And if you don't have vibranium, that's okay, just switch over and put on sonic, because once you use this sonic melee power attack, there's still a chance that the vibranium payload could actually proc if you have the pinpoint vibranium payload. Make sure that you have enough intensity in order to make this build even worth running, and also make sure that you have enough proficiency and enough crit chance in order to make this build actually viable, because you're going to need these payloads to proc on a consistent basis. And you're also going to need this reactive cosmic surge to proc on a consistent basis if you're going to run a build with only 104% willpower recovery effectiveness. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.
Another agent down.